It's the old stuff, but
That's right.
it's also the new old.
Use a new one.
What's that?
Just use a new one. Well, just to get you started. That's right. This is the first album though I'm intentionally grabbing a little cup for you. It's a heavy cup. I like it. Makes it feel like a great sense of stand.
That's a good zoom there. On the fire.
You like that?
That's a smoke.
It's a fire. Really?
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We'll be starting at 10 o'clock as per normal, don't worry. We just always had the intention of being early, but today we actually are early, so this is good. The fire is also very hot.
Is it?
Yeah,
Well, it's cold in this house.
it is ultra. Dun, 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 dun.
That fire's nice.
Bum, 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 bum. FYI, I'm going to be hopping into, I think, 4th grade class at 10:40, so.
Oh, sweet. 10:40?
Yep. We were talking about the rosary, and Daddy wanted me to come and help out.
Cool. So, our show sometimes runs longer than that. Are you gonna leave?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or we could just try to close it.
Yeah.
What's that? Oh, that's the Messiah one?
Mm-hmm. Says it's canceled. Canceled.
What is it? Yeah, interesting. Only one season. Oh, it did get very good reviews. It only has a 44% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
It's probably wise. That's probably why.
Cool.
So zooming out. Hey,
What's
hello
that?
there. You're there.
Hello there. That's good this morning. What is that? Is that the noir?
Was that the original one or
That's the second one.
the second one? It's the noir and the milk combined.
Oh, okay.
Got a little bit of cookie.
Okay. Yeah, because it's just a little bit of taste to it.
Mm-hmm.
You almost smell it.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, this is nice. Really, I'm getting into this. That would be so tough. So the French horn is a beautiful, beautiful instrument. I played in high school, so I'm biased, but it's a really wonderful, lovely instrument. But it's a tremendously difficult instrument to play.
That's what I hear.
Very, very difficult. And it's difficult because of the range it has. It's got a surprisingly large range. It's also, most French horns are double French horns,
Mm-hmm.
and so you actually have two keys.
Mm.
And so you have to have memorized every for every note. There are two possible fingerings for every note,
Oh, wow.
and because you have to know which key you're playing in at that point, and you switch keys by a little trigger on your thumb. I mean, I suppose we could talk about this. It's kind of fascinating idea. But,
Sure.
I like to call it the instrument stuck in puberty because it loves to crack. If your embouchure is just not perfect on every note, it loves to crack. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'll be.
Your embouchure has to be very tight.
Your what?
Embouchure. Oh,
I don't know that word.
did you play an instrument?
I didn't.
Not a
Not a
wind
this
instrument?
No.
Oh, okay.
Omnisure.
Embouchure refers
Embouchure.
to it refers to the shape of your mouth that you have to use for. So, I mean, the embouchure for a tuba is going to be like tuba or baritone. I played a baritone too. I played baritone, trumpet, and French horn. Baritone was that's your embouchure. You're getting about that much, a lot of lip movement. Trumpet, you're looking for a pretty tight embouchure, and it's going to be like. And that's the sound you put into it. Really, legitimately.
No, it's just funny as you're doing these imitations. Here we are in the video.
And then the French horns embouchure is much tighter than that. So the instrument, the mouthpiece itself is only covering probably 3/4 of the area that the trumpet one is. So you have to. It's a similar sound, but it's tighter. I don't think I can, but. I'm not going to try that one. I can show you the mouthpiece differences.
Very good.
I would love to get into playing again. I just haven't. The French horn is an expensive instrument too, so
Yeah, most instruments are not cheap.
The problem is, I mean, you can pick up a pretty nice trumpet under $1,000 easily.
Okay.
$300, $500. I'll get you a usable trumpet. You really have to go up in the. You have to pay a lot more to get a usable French horn. But I would love to get back into it. This is what most French horns mouthpieces look like versus trumpet mouthpiece. Oh yeah, you also have to know some of the notes in the French horn are not in tune, and so you have to tune them with your hand as you're playing them.
Ah,
Yeah.
of course, because they make an instrument where
Right.
they're not in tune.
Well, I mean, the trumpet's the same way, but The difference between that and the trumpet is you have to know, I think it's B flat. I haven't played the trumpet since I was in 8th grade, so that one, but it has that key, so you have the trumpet here, but you also have a trigger over here, and the trigger is, some of the notes are not in tune in the trumpet, so you just have to pull it out for those.
Okay.
So that's easy, you just have to trigger it back and forth. The French horn, you have to shape your hand, though. You have to do this while you're playing.
Very good. Well, it is past 10, so
Okay.
we'll get rolling
Let's
here.
get going.
Well, welcome to the Fireside Chat today with a real live fire here.
There we go.
I'm kind of excited about that. I do not need any extra impetus to say, hey, build a fire, because
true.
I sure like our fireplace that is here. Good morning, everybody. So I don't know if it entirely justifies a fire today, but
I don't know, it's quite nice.
yeah, right. Yeah.
It really is.
Well, I keep on saying that this is going to be the last opportunity for a fire. But I got a question for you as well, because I have.
Okay.
Well, I've never owned a house. I don't own this house. The parish obviously owns the house, but I don't really know what's like normal temperature to keep a house,
Yeah.
and it's confusing. So
Well, we also have trouble because our 2 floors tend to be very different temperatures.
They do, right.
Right, and it's partly our fault. I think we tend to overcompensate sometimes.
Maybe so.
When it comes to the how the what would you call it, the venting is working.
right,
I'm gonna lighten it up a little bit in here.
okay.
Got it.
Well, so our temperature this morning said 63 degrees, which seems a little cold. Is that? Do people set their houses at 63?
So
or?
normally my mother always set the house at 72.
I need to come back over here and say that here once you get the.
1 second.
I'm not sure if they can pick you up there.
There we go. How does that look there?
I can't tell yet. I don't think it's switched. Could probably get a little bit lighter.
Okay.
And you've got the automatic off?
I do.
Just there we go. Oh, that looks good.
Yeah, I didn't want to lighten it up too much. We would have.
I think that's going to be good. I'll see what it looks like on Facebook.
Right.
Um,
So, my mom always kept the house at 72. That's probably a little warm. I've always heard one should never keep one's house above 68.
okay.
Because, well, okay. I've always heard one should never keep the rectory above 68 because it's, you can always put on an extra layer, and it's a way of saving a little bit of extra money. 70, I think, is a pretty standard number to people keep their.
Okay.
69 is
Yeah.
pretty, yeah.
I've been kind of keeping it 69, maybe 70 if it feels a little bit chilly. But yeah, our upstairs seems a little bit chilly. And we tried to fix the venting things earlier, but we still don't have quite the magic mix. But
No, that's true.
we're almost done with winter. But anyway, it seemed to justify having a fire this morning because it was 63 degrees in the house. So at least that's what our temp said. I set the thermostat. I think I've got it set at 60 at the moment.
Michael, I see your comment there, and I am ashamed. That is hilarious. He says he prefers the trombone because if you're bad, it will let you slide.
Oh, okay.
You should feel shame for that. That pun right there.
And Bonita says you keep it at nighttime 63. Wow.
That is chilly.
That seems chilly to me.
Well, I mean, nighttime it makes sense because you're under the blankets.
Yeah.
And I'm told that you actually sleep better in cooler temperatures.
I'm not sure if that's entirely true because I was waking up a lot last night. I did not get a very good night's sleep last night.
Yeah,
so.
neither did I.
But I'm refusing to. I'm trying to keep the furnace from going on. That's my goal because it's supposed to pick up again. I think in the next day or two. So
Right.
anyway, how are y'all doing? How are you doing? How are you enjoying the distance? What are you doing for your time? What are you reading? What are you watching? What are you doing to stay connected? We are here for you. We are here for any questions that you might have for us today. And so feel free to put those in the comments or ahead of the show, you can always email us and ask us questions and we will take a look at them. I can't always check my email during the show, but I try to stay on top of that outside the show. Today we are drinking, people sometimes ask, I put a little combination of Folgers Noir. It's back to the Noir. This is the blue one, the True Dark. There was an orange one in the store I saw the other day, and I don't think I've tried that one. And
Good
then
morning, Danny.
And then this is the end of a Christmas present from my brother. The Mill Coffee House I've talked about before. This is frosted sugar cookie,
Ooh.
and it's delicious. So I put a little bit of the end of the frosted sugar cookie with the noir, because sometimes these flavored coffees can be a little bit much. With
By
the whole
sometimes, always. Like, it's like, whew, that was a lot of cinnamon roll in my mouth right
Yeah.
there. Mm-hmm.
I generally like to kind of do do halvesies or 25, 75 or something to.
That's wise.
Yeah. And then I set Father Ashmore up with the Mill coffee cup.
I love
itself.
this mug.
It's a good mug. It's nice and heavy.
You can wrap your fingers around it. My hands are always cold. I don't have, I think I have relatively low blood pressure, which is a good thing,
Right.
You know, because I'm a young man. But my hands are cold partly because of that. So,
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way.
always.
They keep on saying my blood pressure's low.
One time, my sister Danny, who's watching us right now, we went to go pray the Our Father, and she grabbed my hand, and she said, I believe the direct quote was, "Ooh, I can't hold that. It feels like a cadaver." So, my sister is a nurse, so.
Oh, that's even funnier.
Yeah, exactly.
She has experience with
Exactly.
cadavers. And then I'm drinking out of one of the cups my sister gave me, Wallace and Gromit, which you had the other day. But it's a big hug and a mug that my sister gave to me. So, all right, so very good. So what are you working on? What's it? Here, so we got some questions. Very good. Hello, Rachel. Hello, Rosalie. Those are my nieces. Hello, Laura.
Hi there.
Good to see you. Maybe I need to go to my other camera and do that too, so they can see me close up here. Just a minute. Let me just give my shout out.
No problem at all.
Hello, Rachel. Hello, Rosalie. Hello, Laura. Good to see you here. Thanks for watching the show. Okay, now we'll go back to the big screen. 80 by Wednesday. Holy cow. Today you are drinking. Well, I drink every day. I mean, coffee. But it's good. What's a good book on a saint or saints that you would recommend? Anything coming to your mind there? You got that from Robert today?
Yep. So I'm looking up one right now. I found this on Kindle. I think it's 99 cents. I don't know if you can actually buy it, but St. John Bosco has a wonderful autobiography that he wrote not because he wanted to. He didn't want to write an autobiography, but he wrote it because his boys in his oratory there were asking for stories from the sense of their dad. And so it goes through and it just tells lovely little stories from his life and tells how he grew up. So if you find the autobiography of St. John Bosco, that's one of my favorites. I think it's also called like the Memoirs of the Oratory of St. Francis of Sales, because he helped to start the Oratory of St. Francis of Sales. So that's one that you might do. Autobiography of St. John Bosco.
I might throw in the autobiography as well. That made me think of someone who was kind of forced to do it. Therese of Lisieux, her Story of the Soul, her autobiography. It's lovely. As my seminarian friend said back in the day, it's a little flowery.
Oh yeah.
But that's a joke.
It's a little flower. Oh. Well, yeah, I didn't get that. I'm
But
sorry.
it is a little flowery as well.
Right over my head.
Saint Therese is known as the little flower, but the language is a little flowery as well. But it is lovely, and she's my favorite saint. So the Story of the Soul is lovely, but it is a little flowery.
So interesting note about that book. I read that book when I was 18, and I hated it. I hated it. I thought it was saccharine and sickly sweet, and I was like, "Oh my goodness, darling, what are you talking about?" I mean, I know you're a saint, but really. And then I read it 2 years ago, and I absolutely loved it. It's one of my favorites now. So it's one of those that I think, depending on where you are in your spiritual life, where you are in your life, it will hit you very differently. And if you're like a cynical 18-year-old, probably not the best. Maybe, you never know. But after some time in prayer, time in seminary, the autobiography is just absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. Good. If you're looking for like something to slap you in the face, John of the Cross will do that for you. At least he does it for me. So if you're looking for like some intense spirituality, St. John of the Cross. I was reading St. John of the Cross several years ago. I had purchased his book. I don't remember which one it was. One of his big ones.
Probably the Ascent of Mount Carmel was a big one.
It was either that one or the
Dark Night of the Soul.
Dark Night of the Soul. I think it was Ascended to Mount Carmel. But anyway, the story about that, I think that my mom knows is, and my sister perhaps, is I was reading St. John of the Cross, and I mean, he slaps you in the face. He says, one of the things he was saying is, it's not enough to like give up food or the taste of food. You have to give up the memory of the food. And so for a while there, I got in like this intense thing where I'm going to eat like the most boring food that I can possibly find. I'm going to have, so I bought a bunch of carrots. I bought some rice cakes with no flavor, as like I tried to get rid of all flavor from my mouth. And then, so I got back to flavor eventually, but it also inspired me. I always used to drink cream in my coffee. That's what my dad always used to do. I put Coffee Mate in my coffee.
Okay.
And this was about 6 years ago or so. And that inspired me to do a penance every day to drink black coffee.
Oh.
And I've never drunk Coffee Mate since.
And
so
the problem is you start preferring it.
I'm not sure if I do. It's still
Oh,
a penance.
really?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
my
I'm not sure if
goodness.
I'd want Coffee Mate in there, but I do occasionally, when I'm splurging, I sometimes put cream in my coffee, but not creamer. I haven't put creamer in my coffee. That's how I always used to drink my coffee. That's how my dad drank his coffee. That's what I got used to. Never sugar, but just that Coffee Mate stuff. But ever since reading John of the Cross about 6-7 years ago, maybe I have not had any cream in my coffee.
So I would say, I would clarify a little bit. I love John of the Cross. He's one of my closest spiritual friends. I would suggest reading a biography of him first before you read his material, because I think it's when you start reading his material first, it can be super intense.
Sure.
If you don't know who he is,
That's
then
right.
you may
That's right.
misinterpret it.
Sure.
So a lot of people will talk about John of the Cross, and they'll talk about some of the more extreme statements he makes,
Right.
and think like, oh, that means I should have no friends, because he says you should have no attachments to people in the world.
Right.
And John of the Cross actually had several really deep, intimate friendships. But what he was talking about is the sinful attachment we have to them when we put them before God.
Right.
And how we have to disattach ourselves even from the desire for a sinful attachment to those things. So if you don't balance out his writings with his life, you don't really get the full image of John of the
It's
Cross.
good. It's good.
The couple good
That's a
ones
great point.
are... okay, so one I read was John of the Cross, Man and Mystic by Richard Hardy. I think it was good. I don't remember... I think it was good. I don't remember being offended by it anyway. So that's a good one if you're just looking for a biography of John of the Cross.
And then Carly, for those on the YouTube that aren't here on the Facebook, she recommended a book of Saints for Catholic Moms. A book of Saints for Catholic Moms. Short daily devotions and a weekly family activity. That's a great recommendation. Thanks, Carly. But there's lots of them out there.
So just keep looking. Most of them are pretty good.
Yeah.
You don't really have to be too... Every now and then you have to watch out for biographies of saints, but most of the time they're all pretty reliable.
Right.
These
I
days.
tend to like the ones that, because there is what is that called? Hagiography?
Hagiography, yeah.
That, how do you define hagiography?
Well, there are two ways to define it. A hagiography can either be a type of writing about a type of writing about saints' lives that puts an overemphasis on unsure stories in a life saints. So, for instance, so that'd be the first way, and the other way would be hagiography would be a type of saint's life that incorporates all of the stories. So I make the distinction because hagiography gets a bad rap sometimes because because some of the excesses of hagiography, which is that they include every story that anybody had ever told about them in them. But often some of the best stories, some of the best biographies we have of people are in the genre of hagiography. So it's kind of a tough question, you know.
So sometimes, the hagiography tends to be, at least, sometimes it can seem a little bit over-flowery and over-exaggerated, unrealistic. I tend to, my preference, some people love that, that's fine, I don't care. But I tend to prefer kind of more gritty, real, less less I don't know, exaggerated or whatever.
Yeah. A good example of a book towards what you're saying is St. Francis of Assisi, A New Biography. It was written by a Dominican probably 7 or 8 years ago. It's a relatively short read, but it really goes into who St. Francis really was and why he wasn't just some, friar dancing with flowers out in the fields.
Going petting deers.
Exactly. Hey, buddy. Sometimes because of like the 1970s,
Did you just quote Elf?
I did. You're right. Oh my goodness, you're right. Yeah. So sometimes because of the movie Brother Moon, Sister Sun, or how is it?
Yeah,
Something
I
like
think
that.
I think it's reverse.
It can
Brother, Sun, Sister, Moon, maybe.
something like that. People can look at St. Francis and think that he was just some hippie out in the 12th century doing petting deer and that sort of thing.
Wearing tie-dye shirts.
Exactly, but he was actually an intense figure.
Right.
And so this biography goes into who he really was.
Interesting.
So that's another good one, I'd
Yeah.
suggest. St. Francis of Assisi, I think it's the subtitle is A New Biography.
I think it's Brother, Sun, Sister, Moon, like Spanish. El Sol, La Luna.
Yeah, probably.
So, very good. And then, let's see here. I think we had a... Yeah, I think that's it for the questions that I see in the chat. What did you bring to share with us today?
I brought another poem.
Excellent. Poetry time with Father Ashmore. I need to come up with a new graphic
Oh, no.
here.
So this is a nice little collection of
I'm gonna
poems.
go to that camera
Are we?
over there.
Okay. This is a nice little collection of poems from the 17th century religious poets, with particular emphasis on George Herbert. I bought it, I think, in a half-price bookshop, so it's not something particularly special, but I like the collection. George Herbert is another one of the poets that I really appreciate. He's got a wonderful taste for the pacing, meter, and all, but he also has just a beautiful way of taking poems and you think you're going one direction, and then at the end he totally changes it, and it changes the whole meaning of the poem. So the one that I was thinking about looking at today is right here, I think.
Poetry with Father Ashmore.
I don't have this one memorized. I have to apologize for that. It's called The Agony. Philosophers have measured mountains, fathomed the depths of seas of states and kings, walked with a staff to heaven and traced fountains. But there are two vast, spacious things, the which to measure it doth more behoove. Yet few there are that sound them, sin and love. Who would know sin? Let him repair upon unto Mount Olivet. There shall he see a man so wrung with pains, that all his hair, his skin, his garments bloody be. Sin is that press and vice, which forceth pain to hunt his cruel food through every vein. Who knows not love? Let him assay and taste that juice, which on the cross a pike did set a broach, and let him say if ever he did taste the like. Love is that liquor sweet and most divine, which my God feels as blood, but I as wine. isn't that great? That end, it just changes everything.
Oh, did I forget to?
I think you did.
I
Yeah.
forgot to do the camera this whole time, and I set the lighting and everything. Can you do like just? I forgot to click the button.
Oh, okay.
Could you do just a piece of that again? Because it was so beautiful with you on your camera, just
Oh,
like that.
okay.
Dang it! Dang it! Okay, do it just a second. Do that last piece
Okay.
again. So we have this with you sitting by the fire, reading poetry.
Who knows not love? Let him assay and taste that juice, which on the cross a pike did set a broach. Then let him say, if ever he did taste the like. Love is that liquor sweet and most divine, which my God feels as blood, but I as wine.
See, that's what it was supposed to look like. But you looked into that camera, it was beautiful. I was watching. I got it all as Susan says, read it all. Read it all.
Read it all? Oh. Well, you can find it online easily. Get a book of George Herbert's poetry. There's another one of my favorites called The Pulley.
Oh, do that one now.
Do that one now?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Here we are.
Because now we got the proper screen on you.
This is one of my favorites. When God at first made man, having a glass of blessings standing by, let us, said he, pour on him all we can. Let the world's riches which dispersed lie contract into a span. So strength first made a way, then beauty flowed, then wisdom, honor, pleasure. When almost all was out, God made us stay, perceiving that alone of all his treasure rests in the bottom lay. For if I should, said he, bestow this jewel also on my creature, he would adore my gifts instead of me, and rest in nature, not the God of nature. So both should losers be. Yet let him keep the rest, but keep them with repining restlessness. Let him be rich and weary, that at least, if goodness lead him not, yet weariness may toss him to my breast.
That's awesome.
Isn't it great?
I love it. I love it.
So, I'll memorize a couple of these. Maybe we can do it memorized, which it's always better memorized.
Well, that should just be... It should just be an ongoing segment here on the Fireside Chat is the poem of the day with Father Ashmore. I love it. And Dom Inzarello says, just as good as Patrick Stewart reading a sonnet a day on Twitter. So
we don't have enough poetry in our society any longer.
It's true that.
Mm-hmm. And it's because poetry requires discipline to love.
Uh-huh.
But everything in life that is good requires discipline.
Right.
That
Yes.
is truly good.
Yes, right.
So, and I really think it's because we don't force children to memorize the poems any longer. Because, what we do is we take them and we treat them as something of science. And children are in 7th and 8th grade, they're put in front of one of the poems of Shakespeare, which I love. Shakespeare's sonnets are marvelous. But then they're told, okay, tell me why this is good. And they have to be like, okay, well, the meter is this. There's a comma here. That's an interesting use of the word flower. It could be both flower or flower. It's very fast. You know what I mean? And they turn it into the science thing when poetry is something of love. And so you need to incorporate it, and then you grow to love it, and then and then you can find those little things. You can find out, oh, I do like this one because it's in this meter. That's why it jived with me.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? But instead, we treat it like, it's really because of our science-based society. We forget this whole part of man.
Yeah, it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Good
There's
observation.
our little Ferverino of the day, perhaps. Read more poetry.
I need a whole bunch of graphics to put up. Father A's Ferverino of the day, his spiritual nugget, his poem of the day. I love it. I was talking about it because it reminds me of Seabiscuit every time, that movie. I think I was recommending it a few Fireside Chats ago. Did you see that movie, the horse movie?
No, I never have.
Yeah, it's good. But anyway, there's a scene with them sitting around and, if I recall, reading poetry or reading literature. It's been a while since I've seen the movie, but it was a beautiful scene of the family sitting around the table together, the dinner table together, reading poetry and everything.
That's wonderful.
So, hey, how about this for a transition? Speaking of sitting around the table and reading poetry,
Yes.
you've been working on something. Do share again.
Okay.
If you have something else to share.
I don't have too much more to share. It's basically the same as yesterday. This is our Christian family supper, and we're working on the name still. So I haven't put too much thought to the name since yesterday.
Well, you did have a new. I think post chat you talked about just shortening it to that instead of whatever Carly said with the big long.
Yeah, just
Christian family supper, and then there's Christian family supper at Holy Thursday instead of to prepare for the celebration or whatever it was.
The rite of the preparation of the soul for the reception of Holy Communion. On this, the feast of Holy Thursday, the entrance day of the Holy 3 days. An excursion in family.
Well, share some of that poetry that you had written.
Okay. It's not really.
I mean, it's not really poetry,
It's
but
prose,
it's
but it's
beautiful. Come on.
So
He was reading it to me yesterday after the chat.
I'm embarrassed now. So.
I know. I'm thoroughly trying to embarrass you, and I think I'm succeeding.
Okay. Part of the traditional Seder meal is that the youngest child asks the father of the family, why is this night different than every other night? And then it goes into a long explanation of the Passover in Egypt, how God saved them from the slavery there. And so I took the first paragraph from that, and then I expanded it to 4 or 5 paragraphs that incorporated that into what Jesus did for us. So the first paragraph is part of the traditional. What makes this night different than every other night?
I'm gonna take you back to the other camera
Okay.
and do the lighting effect.
Okay. We need to get like a remote control or something for that.
That's right.
So it says here, the youngest would say, "Why is this night different than any other night? Than every other night?" Then the leader, the father, says, "This night is different from all other nights, because on this night we celebrate our going forth from slavery into freedom. We were slaves to Pharaoh in Egypt, and the Lord saved us with a mighty hand. If God had not taken our fathers in faith out of Egypt, then we, our children, and our grandchildren too, would still be Pharaoh's slaves." And this is the new part. "What's more, this night is different from every other night, for on this night Christ, the Messiah promised long ago, celebrating the Passover with his disciples, instituted a new sacrament of his presence. Taking the unleavened bread and the paschal wine, he said the sacred words, and then made them into his body and blood. Like the Passover lamb, he gave us his flesh to eat. Betrayed by his very own, he offered himself on an altar of wooden nails. His flesh became a sacrifice, our sins the debt. After a 3 hours agony, this our friend, our bridegroom, our Messiah, our God, died. Yet now we celebrate, for this death led to victory just as the night leads to dawn. By the blood of this lamb we are healed, and by his resurrection we rise to with him. Once slaves to sin, now we live in freedom as children of God. O night, O glorious night that is just now beginning. We celebrate, for soon you will be upon us, and even more quickly shall the light of salvation break through your darkness."
I love it. Isn't that beautiful? I really like it. I think it's very poetic. It captures the essence of what. I forgot to turn the light back on. What it is that we celebrate.
I see, Carla. Thank you.
So yeah, that's great. Do you think? Do you think that people can use that? So the idea is for Holy Thursday, we will lead this on the Christian Family Supper at Holy Thursday, and we will help lead through the kind of the ritual, and then we'll probably like email or send out a flock note or something about with like the ritual in there, so that people can read their own parts or whatever. Would that be what we do? Yeah,
that's what I was thinking of.
Cool. Yeah. So I'm really excited about this idea. So
I
great
think it'll
work.
be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So.
I was going to share also. We were talking, so we're talking about Holy Thursday, and my sister, thanks Kathleen, had the idea that I was talking about this beautiful bread recipe that we used to have for Holy Thursday every day, because we had the custom similar, the kind of Christian family supper is my dad would read a passage from the New Testament about the breaking of the bread, and I don't remember what gospel it was from, but so we read that, and then we broke bread, and then we shared a little bit of wine, even as kids. It was very exciting. But the bread that we made, that my mom made, I will share that recipe with you. My mom put together this beautiful book. It's a cute little Mickey Mouse thing there, but has I don't know if you can see this. I'll come up here. It has pictures of us with the family, and then recipes. And it goes through the year, kind of the liturgical year, actually. But doesn't this, I don't know if you can see it really well, but there's a picture of the spaghetti and the bread, and it looks so delicious. So it was she took a picture of the food when possible, and I guess my dad kept on asking, why you keep on taking pictures of me eating food? But then here is the recipe that I can maybe take a picture of and put into to make a better copy of it. But let me see if I can get this out real quick. Oh, it's captured. I'll take a picture of it and I'll put it in the chat. But anyway, this Holy Thursday French bread that is from my Aunt Kathy made. So anyway, we have that special custom too that maybe you can use for your Christian family supper as well on Holy Thursday. So yes, it is a treasure. I love this book. So it's got recipes and pictures of us. That's from probably, I don't know, 15 years ago or so. It was shortly after I was ordained. So that is that. You also should have, if your parishioners watching, you should have received a flock note about Palm Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
I sent that this morning. We were talking about it yesterday, and I guess my instructions were a little bit confusing, but hopefully they are fairly clear in the instruction that I sent out. So check your flock note. If you are not yet signed up for flock notes, please do so. If you go to our webpage, gshawnee.org, go to the bottom. There's a cute little sheet there at the very bottom right, I think it is. And you can just click there and sign up for flock notes. What flock note is, it's basically our best method of communicating with the parishioners that we have.
Right.
I do not have email lists of the parishioners. I cannot send out a group email. So if people are lamenting and people are saying, why hasn't Father sent out an email to everybody? I don't have everyone's email, so I can't do it. But I can send out a flock note for those who have signed up. So that's my main method besides Facebook and YouTube. Some people aren't on Facebook or watch YouTube. And we don't hand out bulletins right now. There's also a weekly newsletter that comes out through flock notes. So if you want to stay informed, please sign up for flock notes because that's the best way for us to get information out there. But in this flock note that I sent out this morning, it was talking about the Palm Sunday piece. What we're asking people to do is to put palms or sticks or whatever. They waved branches, right? So it could be branches, whatever.
Right.
Make your own display on your door of your house. Take a picture of it. Send it to the Google Drive that I've included that link for. And then on the Palm Sunday Masses, both the English and Spanish, we will have a little loop of pictures going of people's houses. I mean, your address won't be there on there or anything. It'll just be the door of your house. Again, the idea is similar to those holy doors that people do with the churches. Sometimes you get to see the doors of different churches. This is our domestic church, that your domestic church is there. Your door is holy in a way. We want to have a procession of branches of families participating in Palm Sunday. So I invite you to please do that. Make a little thing, put it on your front door, take a picture, drop it off in the Google Drive, and I will incorporate it into the kind of prelude for Palm Sunday Mass. Since we will not be walking through the streets waving palms, since we will not be processing at all, this is one way for us to wave our branches on and to honor Palm Sunday.
Absolutely.
So we got the email. So great. Thanks, Carly. I see that you are working on it. Love it. Okay. And hey, Michael.
What's that?
This is one of this is a poem here, Michael, I believe. Where'd that come from? It's also lovely. Maybe we can get Father Ashmore to read that someday. Okay. Is there anything else that we need to cover today?
Not as far as I'm aware.
Okay. I will be sending out another flock note regarding so that's flock note number 1. If you can't take any more information, hit the mute button for a minute. But the next piece is that probably on Sunday or Monday, I'll send out another flock note encouraging people to send me a short video, 10 to 60 seconds, and pick one of the days, not all 3, but pick one of them, and talk about why Holy Thursday is important to you, why Good Friday is important to you, or why Easter is important to you, or some custom that you have in your family. You can record all 3 of them. I would welcome that, but I want to have one that'll talk, a series of videos that will put it before the Mass of people talking about Holy Thursday. So I don't want to get in Good Friday there. Then I'll have another series of videos before the service on Good Friday, people talking about Good Friday. And then I'll have another one for Easter. Theoretically, both for the Vigil and for Easter Sunday morning. I think we can do both of those. Okay. So if you want to do 3 short videos, all the better. And I will use, hopefully all of them, unless I get way inundated and it's like 50 minutes long. I doubt that.
Choose the best. I'm joking.
I don't know. But so yeah, send those in. That would be, and I'll send a Google Drive soon for that. But just be thinking about that. I'd love to have a good connection there.
And I will send more information about the Christian Family Supper out today. So.
Okay, excellent. So the rest of the schedule for today is that we have our Stations of the Cross, 5:30 in English, 6:30 in Spanish. I think that's all we have for today.
That is all we have.
Yeah, we already had our rosary.
We already had Mass, Rosary, and Fireside Chat, and it's 10:40 in the morning.
That's
We're
right.
doing pretty well. So.
Had kind of a busy morning, but hopefully you can join us for the virtual Stations of the Cross this evening, and then the next thing would be Confessions tomorrow at 3:30, again in the parking lot, and then we have the Rosary at 5ish
Wonderful.
tomorrow. So, anything
Very
else
cool.
to add there, Father Ashmore?
My sister said that a man named Tom may be joining us from Rochester, New York. So if you're watching from Rochester, New York, thank you so much for joining us today.
I see Lori over here on the YouTube. Beautiful poem there, Father Ashmore.
Oh, thank you.
Anyway, I could have a copy of the words. I think it's
We'll be sending that out soon. Oh, which poem?
I don't know when that came.
I can send through. Yes. We'll figure it out.
Yes, because that's probably public domain there.
Yeah, they're all public. I mean,
Yeah.
they're 17th century.
Yeah, right.
The copyright is far out on this.
We won't get a copyright claim like
I hope so.
we'll be getting a little bit of little notices on our little background music. But
We have to be careful about
we're gonna look at maybe doing something differently for our
Right,
background.
maybe
music.
I'll play the kazoo or something like that. I don't know.
So it hasn't been serious. It's just like, hey, this might belong to somebody else. But anyway, so we're gonna. But there is some free music. I just need to sit and put a playlist together.
Mhm.
So. Oh wait, this one I think is way behind. So the poem he wrote. That's what Lori said.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we'll send that out.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, and I think that's everything.
Oh.
So thanks again for tuning in. I hope you have a blessed day, and we will see you next time.
See you next time. God bless
All
you all.